on. Ah! Okay, now give me a thumbs up. I switched it. Ah! I'm so glad. See? I realized I didn't put on the thing. Yay! Now you can hear me. Now you can hear me. Yay! Okay, and I'm doing it too loud. You probably can hear me way too loudly. So I'll adjust the mic. Oh, gosh. What am I doing? I'm going live. Dun, dun, dun. Sorry, everybody. Yay! Everybody can hear me. Because I turned on the mic. What is this? Go live video. Okay. Oh, one more time. Sorry, I'm getting Facebook up. Okay. We're live on Facebook. I need to get us set up. Sorry. Dry now. Okay. So, thank you, Carrie and Brenda, for setting my clock. That is lovely. And I know that I'm running a few minutes behind today, but we're going to let everybody come on in. Happy holidays. Happy Sunday before Christmas. Facebook can't see our lovely tree. Hold on, I'm going to move this. Less of me and more of our lovely tree. Let's see. Yeah, oh, now you can't see the chair. Okay. Here, hold on. Okay, very good. So what I want us to do today as kind of our opening prayer and meditation, I'm going to read some of these great, just short little thoughts from Neil Donald Walsh's Conversations with God. I know this is a favorite of ours, and I recognize that we can be brought to stillness and into that prayerful space by just mindfully listening. And so I invite you just to fully enter into this moment. We've given people a few minutes to arrive. And if you would just begin to take breaths, you can close your eyes if you'd like. And begin to become aware of your breath, breathing in and out. Notice the ground supporting your feet, the weight of your feet on the ground. Just breathing. And maybe if you're inspired, you can put your hand over your heart as I read these things. And just what you're doing is just listening. You're opening up and listening from the space. Mindfully listening from the truth of you, from your essence. And one way to ground yourself in this moment is you can notice either, like I suggested before, the ground supporting your feet. Notice the chair that you're sitting in. Notice it supporting the weight of your body. You can, if you put your hands together, you can pay attention to that touch point between your hands. It can ground you in the here and now. You can notice, just become aware of your back, and in this moment, what we're doing is just mindfully listening, recognizing that your soul, your Christ nature has much to share with you in this time. And it is your intention, my intention, to just open up to that and to listen. And so I will read a few of these. On who you are. Everything that occurs, everything that has occurred, is occurring, and ever will occur is the outward physical manifestation of your innermost thoughts, choices, ideas, and determination regarding who you are and who you choose to be. Just pause. Do not waste the precious moments of this, your present reality, seeking to unveil all of life's secrets. Those secrets are secret for a reason. Grant your God the benefit of the doubt. Use your now moment for the highest purpose, the creation and the expression of who you really are. Decide who you are, who you want to be, and then do everything in your power to be that. Pause, take a breath. If all you desired is what your soul desired, everything would be very simple. If you listen to the part of you which is pure spirit, all of your decisions would be easy and all the outcomes joyous. Breath. On expressing your feelings. It is not nearly so important how well a message is received as how well it is sent. You cannot take responsibility for how well another accepts your truth. You can only ensure how well it is communicated. And by how well, I don't mean merely how clearly. I mean how lovingly, how compassionately, how sensitively, how courageously, and how completely. Another breath. Go to your highest thought about yourself. Go to your highest thought about yourself. Imagine the you that you would be if you lived that thought every day. Imagine what you would think, do, and say, and how you would respond to what others do and say. Do you see any difference between that projection and what you think, do, and say now? Pay attention to the fact that they're talking about relationship with another person, not necessarily a romantic relationship, but your relationship with people, other people in general. It's saying, how do you respond to them? And if you could go to your highest thought about yourself, who you wanted to be, the highest thought, your highest ideal of who you are, love, wisdom, would you still speak the way you speak to the grocery clerk? Would you still think about your ex the way that you are thinking about your ex? And this is not to be judgmental. It's to recognize that if there is a discrepancy between your highest thought of you and how that you would handle an interaction, a thought about another human being, then that's your work to close the gap, the space between those. On self-esteem, a tree is no less perfect because it is a seedling. A tiny infant is no less perfect than a grown-up. It is perfection itself. Because it cannot do a thing, does not know a thing, that does not make it somehow less perfect. I'm going to read that again. A tree is no less perfect because it is a seedling. A tiny infant is no less perfect than a grown-up. It is perfection itself, because it cannot do a thing, does not know a thing, that does not make it somehow less perfect. We think we have to know, don't we, to be perfect. A child makes mistakes. She stands, she toddles, she falls, she stands again, a bit wobbly, hanging on to her mommy's leg. Does that make the child imperfect? I tell you, it is just the opposite. That child is perfection itself, holy and completely adorable. So too are you. So the grace that we extend to children, right? In this analogy with walking, if a child who is learning to walk falls over, we don't go and say, oh no, this child's never going to learn to walk. What's going to happen? This child's never going to learn to walk. Or we don't shame the child for not being able to learn or to not being able to walk. We recognize that it is coming. And so in the moments where you and I fall short, can we extend that knowing and that grace to ourselves and to others, even if they are not children, because we deserve that. We deserve that grace. We deserve to know and understand that it doesn't mean just because we didn't do it perfectly this time, just because we weren't our most loving self this time, just because we fell short and did an addictive behavior again this time, it doesn't mean that all is lost. In fact, we are perfection itself, even in our falling and failing. It is a process, it is a journey, and we are all on it. On recognizing the importance of the moment. There is no time like the present. You've heard that before, I'm sure. There is no time but this time. There is no moment but this moment. Now is all there is. Yesterday and tomorrow are figments of your imagination, constructions of your mind, non-existent and ultimate reality. I'm going to read that again. Yesterday and tomorrow are figments of your imagination, constructions of your mind, non-existent and ultimate reality. Everything that ever happened is happening, and ever will happen is happening right now. And so we use that to enter fully into this moment. It is Christmas. Yes, it is. This week it is Christmas. And in Unity, we have a text written by Charles Fillmore, The Revealing Word. And in it, it's terms that you find, in the Bible, terms that you find commonly in other spiritual paths, and it gives a metaphysical interpretation of those things. Those of us who are Unity folks and have been for a while are probably familiar with this, and many of you have been Unity folk longer than me, so you're even more familiar with it than me. But I want to remind us on this week that is Christmas, what the metaphor is for this time. And so the birth of Jesus is, well, I'll start this way. I'll let Charles tell you for a minute, and then I'll chime in. How about that? Okay. So that's last. Hello. Okay. Jesus, as the result of lack of conscious connection between the thinking faculty and the fountainhead of existence, humanity had reached a very low state. Then came Jesus of Nazareth, whose mission was to connect the thinker with the true source of thought. Thinking at random had brought man into a deplorable condition, and his salvation depended on his again joining his consciousness to the Christ. Only through that connection could he be brought back into his Edenic state. So Jesus, the birth of Jesus, represents the birth of our Christ nature. Each one of us has this Christ nature, and that Christ nature is where we and God meet each other. And so the purpose of Jesus, born of innocence, is that this Christ essence is born to serve as a connection, a link between our human self and our spiritual self, our human self and our spiritual oneness with God, right? And so our Christ consciousness, so you could say the reason for the season, I almost titled it that, the reason for the season, but then I thought, there might be stuff. So the reason for the season is the recognition that you and I are here to live a fully embodied human experience, to have life and have it abundantly, as Jesus says. And in order to do that, to have life and have it abundantly, we must become aware of, give birth to our Christ nature. How do we do that? We do that by becoming aware of who we are not, right? The personality that it is us. And it doesn't mean that we let go of that personality. It means that we come to understand that there is the personality of who we are, right? The personality of Lydia, and then there is the Christ nature of Lydia. And so here's what happened yesterday. I'm going to give you a story kind of this week. So yesterday, my mother got married. My father died several years ago. I think it's 4 years ago now. I get really bogged down in time. I kind of let it go. It's a construct anyway, right? Not real. So, but my father passed away, and now she is married to another man, and it's, there's a pandemic going on, and that wedding was going to take place where I am from, which is in another state. And so I was merrily going along last week, and someone said, are you sad? There were some relatives that were feeling sad because they couldn't be there. And I thought, well, no, it kind of just is how it is. And I didn't think that I, had any great thoughts on it one way or the other. And then the night before, which was Friday evening, all of a sudden, I began to become uneasy. And it started with, my sister shared with me that my mom was, feeling nervous. She was feeling anxious about things. And that pushed a button within me. And that button, over the course of Friday late afternoon and evening on into the night hours, began to grow and grow and grow as overwhelming emotion. And by the time I was in bed falling asleep, I was sobbing. I mean, ugly crying, as Oprah would say. I was ugly crying, sobbing, trying to sleep. And in fact, later on, Keith woke up to me crying. And so, and what was happening is there were all of these buttons that were getting pushed, and there was, on the one hand, there was this sense of grief that felt akin to literally the day of my father's funeral. I felt like I was losing, I don't know, him again. It was losing her. I felt, this deep, deep sense of grief and loss. And so I'm crying. And as you guys know, I share with you all the time, emotions are an area of challenge for me. And of course, I've shared with, many of our In the Walls community members during our Zoom conversations that I am working on allowing in more human emotion. I've been trying to, transcend and get to that, that Christ state of consciousness. And for a long while, I was forgetting that there was purpose to the human aspect of things. I was just trying to transcend my way on out of here. And so I've been working on this area of emotions. And I think because of that, I was more open to these emotions that were spilling out. And because, so there was the one aspect that felt like grief. Then there was this other aspect that felt like an aspect of jealousy, because my sister and my niece were going to be there. And my sister and my niece were going to do my mom's makeup. And I was having thoughts that went like this. Why does she get to go? Michelle's always been the favorite. I'm sorry, Michelle. But this is my teenage self, if you're listening. I don't think you're listening, but whatever. So I was having all of these thoughts, and then my prover started showing me all the proof that my sister was more valuable and more important to my mother than I was. And I got all these flashes and images of plays that my mom didn't go to because Michelle had some other event and mom went to that event and not to my play. And then, so I'm getting all of these teenager angsty feelings. And jealousy feelings. And then there was this other aspect that, because life was challenging for us, and because of the upset, discomfort of my childhood, I had always viewed my mom as needing my protection. And in my mind, although I wasn't protecting her from anything, in my mind, my worry was protecting her, right? So I've had anxiety for a long time. So I would just sit and worry. And that was, without me realizing it, I was believing that in some way I was handling and keeping her safe, right? And so what was being triggered is that, I had her, she was okay. She was good. She was living well. She was happy. She was footloose and fancy free, on her own. So everything was fine. And then there was this sense now that, oh no, now things are out of my control again. And how am I going to keep her safe? And is she going to be okay? And So I have all of these emotions. And so I'm sobbing, ugly crying. And at the same time that this is happening, I am having thoughts that go like this. Lydia, you're 40 years old. What is wrong with you? Okay, I shouldn't have told you how old I am. Well, I'm not yet. I have a couple of weeks. Lydia, you're 40 years old. What is wrong with you? This is not that big of a deal. Oh my gosh, why are you freaking out? What's wrong with you? Why are you being so dramatic? So I have this, these judgments, and I'm watching all of this, right? So I am sitting while I am having these emotions. I thankfully was not becoming one with them. I was watching them, observing these things happening. And not only did this go into the night of Friday, this then went into Saturday morning, because now my mother was getting married. And so I had all of these thoughts going on. Nobody's calling me. They're getting, makeup and hair done with mom, and I can't be there, and nobody's going to call me, and I'm going to be left out, and and I'm crying and crying and crying. And I don't want to feel like this. I don't want to feel that. Emotion is so uncomfortable for me anyway. And I just wanted it to be over. I wanted it to stop. But I also, there was like nothing I could do. It had to come out. And because of the degree of the emotion, I knew that I was releasing things that weren't just about yesterday and my mother getting married yesterday and the circumstances of that. I could feel that there was emotion, right? And I share with you some of that. That was my need to protect her. And I was releasing it. And I could hear my judgment of myself for being so weak. I had those thoughts that said, why are you so weak? What's wrong with you? Chin up. Oh my gosh, this isn't a problem. That kind of talk. And what I realize is that, and what Christmas shows us, you didn't know I was going to come around to Christmas with that, did you? I know. Watch out. What Christmas shows us is that this is a time where we celebrate that we have a Christ nature within us, and that in order to have life and have it abundantly, that's actually why we're here. We're here for joy. Joy. We're here for that. We're here to have life and have it abundantly. Jesus said, I came so that you might have life and have it abundantly. So in order to do that, our Christ nature has to be present for the breakdown in me. My Christ nature had to be present for the breakdown in me that was Friday and Saturday about what was going on with my mom and her getting married. And so in order for me to bring purpose to my life, to bring joy to my life, I have to embrace all of those aspects, all of the seemingly broken aspects of myself, right? And so in order to heal the part of me that was sobbing, I had to watch, the teen angsty me thoughts and not judge it, allow her, let her have her say, not judge her for it. And then I also had to allow the judgmental part, because that was my critical parent part. I had to allow that and not judge that part, while just being present and accepting all of it, just riding out the storm that was that emotion. And I know that is how we get to joy. We don't get to joy by closing our eyes to the seemingly broken aspects of ourselves, or by denying that they exist. We don't get to joy by denying our emotions. We don't get to joy by denying the human experience, the pain that is inherent some moments of the human experience. And remember what we talked about last week. There is a difference between pain and suffering. Pain is a temporary manifestation, a temporary, that's a tongue twister, part of the human experience. Suffering need not be a part of the human experience. Yesterday, I had pain, but I did not suffer. And I did not suffer because I allowed the pain to be. Right? I didn't guard against it. I didn't try to stop it. And I'm very grateful. My husband was so loving and just, and honestly, he loves it when I get emotional, because it's not, often. And so for him, you know, it was a good thing for him. You know, it was a good experience of me, you know, my vulnerable side, right? And you know, that for me, there is nothing more vulnerable than me showing you that I have emotion. And I don't know why that is, because, you know, I think everybody does. So here's what I want to tell you. So the reason for the season, right? The reason for the season is to remember that we have a Christ nature within us, and that Christ nature is here to love us into being. And if we lose hope in ourselves by giving up on ourselves because we have these broken parts, because we have these parts that we'd rather not exist, if we give up because they exist, then there is no help for the world. And if there is no help for the world, there is no hope for the world. We are the hope for the world. So if we give up on us, that's effectively giving up on the world. If we give up on the world, that's giving up on us, because we're here to help. We're here to have life and have it abundantly. We are here to give birth to our Christ nature, to allow it and to have it love us, usher us into being. I'm going to just close with this small part from the Enneagram. So this is the recognition. The reason why in Unity we talk so much about psychology is because we recognize that the way toward our Christ nature is to look at our personality, and to then draw a distinction between our personality and who we really are, to draw a distinction between our patterns, our unconscious patterns of behavior, and who we truly are, right? What, is that where I'm going to start? Yes. The heroism of the work. One of the most astonishing things we discover in exploring our habits, reactions, and inner voices. That's what I was doing yesterday, right? I was observing it. So one of the most astonishing things we discover in exploring our habits, reactions, and inner voices is how many of them are inherited from our parents. Although many of us would like to see ourselves as being totally different from our mother and father, the more closely we examine our attitudes and behavior, the more we see how many of their psychological issues and solutions have been passed down to us. Our parents, too, carried many of the issues and reactions of their parents, and so on, back for generations. From this perspective, we can see that when we bring awareness to our habitual personality, so part of my habitual personality is that I avoid emotions, and that I judge myself for having them. So if I bring awareness to that, we are healing not just our own problems, but also the destructive patterns that have been taking their toll for many generations, possibly for centuries within our bloodline. Working on ourselves, therefore, redeems not only our own sufferings and struggles, but the sufferings and struggles of all of our ancestors, which led to producing people who could be free of them. It is the same as when people became free after generations of slavery and realized that their freedom gave meaning and dignity to the struggles of all the generations that had preceded them. A further, perhaps even more compelling reason to do this work is to prevent destructive patterns from being passed on to the next generation. For instance, we are becoming aware that many of our unconscious habits and attitudes about the environment or racism have reached a critical point. Consequently, many young parents are doing their best to embody new socially and environmentally aware values so that their children will not continue in the same destructive ways. From a personal as well as a generational perspective, therefore, working on ourselves is a noble act, and parenting a child is a call to awakening. And that doesn't mean just parenting a physical child. That means parenting our inner child who we bring with us. And that is what my Christ nature did yesterday by watching her judgmentalness, watching her jealousy, watching her grief, watching her loss without judging any of them, just allowing them all to be. That's the reason for the season. The reason for the season is to remind us that that's our job. My job is to allow my Christ nature to show up for my broken pieces. My job is to become aware what are my patterns and personality as opposed to what is my Christ nature. And we're all doing a heck of a job. And we want there to be hope for the future of our country, of our world. And in order for there to be hope, we must be willing to do this work on ourselves. Because we, our Christ nature, our fully realized self, is the help the world needs. Okay, so let's take a moment to just get still. And I invite you, if you'd like, to close your eyes or relax your gaze. Breathe with me. Breathe in through your nose. Out. Just breathing. I invite you to allow my words to be the words of your heart. I deserve life. I deserve the abundance of life in all its forms. I recognize that the world needs me. The gift of my presence. I recognize that all of the pieces of me need my presence, my love, my acceptance. It is my intention to be accepting of myself, to allow my Christ nature to love all of me. It is my intention to become aware of all of the places that need my presence within me. It is my intention to see them and not judge them, but rather love them, accept them, allow them to be. I will give myself this gift. I deserve it. And just finally breathe in with me. God is. And out, I am. And as you are ready, you can come back to this moment in time and in space. Our daily word for the day, I want to remind everybody we've got a Secret Santa party. So if you RSVP to the Secret Santa party, that is happening today, I believe at 11:30. It is in your email blast that has the link. And also the email blast was posted on members only because many of the email blasts went into promotions. So, and it might be that on members only, either Priscilla, if you're watching, or Christy, but could maybe post that link on members only as well. So that's happening today. A reminder that next Sunday is going to be our community Zoom. I am taking the Sunday off. And thank you for allowing me to do that. And it is going to be led by Lady Christy. And there will be, it's the same Zoom link we use every week after the gathering. So the one we'll use here in just a few minutes. And it will be in your email blast. It will be posted on members only. And if you are not an In the Walls member and you would like to join that Zoom, it is an amazing, our community discussions are absolutely amazing. I get so much out of what happens after I'm done up here and we have our conversation. It's amazing. So if you'd like to be a part of those and you're not a member, just send us a message. And let's do the Daily Word. So the Daily Word is a Unity Worldwide publication. You can find it at thedailyword.com, and it is a little devotional. And the word for today is joy. Sunday, December 20th. Joy dawns in my grateful heart. Joy to the world, the carol echoes the joyous message proclaiming the Messiah's birth. Today, I feel this same triumphant joy awakening in me. I may have endured a long and cumbersome journey on the way to discover the joy that is alive in me, the truth of me as a spiritual being. I may have spent years denying my spiritual identity, thinking that fulfillment, wholeness, and abundance were for others and not for me. Now, as I've made the Advent journey, I have kindled my faith, felt the tranquility and comfort of peace, and received the soothing touch of deep and abiding love. Those gifts have led me to understand with deep gratitude that joy is mine to know, to feel, and to live. And the verse is Luke 2:10. But the angel said to them, do not be afraid, for see, I am bringing you good news of great joy for all the people. And we'll do our vision, a world powerfully transformed through shared spiritual awakening. And our mission, advancing the movement of spiritual awakening and transformation through unity, a positive path for spiritual living. And our values, abundance, acceptance, community, diversity, integrity, joy, and love. And we celebrate our children who are getting together for their Secret Santa party this morning at 11:30. Unity of Appleton sees the divinity in all children and nurtures their unfolding spirituality. And we'll have our moment of gratitude. So I invite you to bring to mind a person, a conversation, something that you received this week, love that you received, something for which you feel thankful. Smile. Breathe in. Thank you. There it is. We've activated the energy of gratitude. Super important, not important, but super helpful to do that before we give any kind of money, exchange any kind of money anywhere. Getting into that space of gratitude is such an amazing prosperity practice. And so we do it right before we celebrate our giving and receiving. Thank you so much for continuing to give. Our sustaining members who are giving week in, week out, thank you so much. Thank you for all of those who are not members but are giving. So there is a link there on the Facebook. So anything you are inspired to give, we are very, very grateful for. So let's do our affirmation of prosperity. Unity of Appleton is alive with the energy of spirit, in the flow of divine abundance, and radiant with unlimited possibilities. And divine love in and through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I joyfully give and willingly receive. I give in love, and I trust God as my source. So Facebook people, if you want a readable view of our slides ever, go hop over to our YouTube channel. So make sure if you're on our YouTube channel, or even if you're not, make sure you subscribe so you get updates whenever videos come out. Let's do our prayer of protection, and we'll meet over on the community Zoom. I'll be there at 10:45. I guess I was a little chatty today, but you guys can hop on over right as soon as we're done. So The prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Okay, everybody. See you soon. See you soon on the Zoom. Don't miss the Zoom, everybody. See you soon.